Good morning, everybody. It is MC2 Cat Yanez, aka DJ SoCal. We've got CMC in the house. What's up, CMC?
Not much. How's it going, MC2?
I'm good. So we've got some information with some COVID clarification, as well as some appreciation and love to give some people out there on the base. CMC, take it away.
Yeah, as MC2 said, the theme of the show today is going to be this COVID clarification. There's a new USFJ fragmentary order that came out this weekend. And then the most important part for me is just to say thank you to a bunch of folks out there who've just been really kicking some butt and doing things for the community. It's amazing to me that how many volunteers step up when things aren't going right, and these thank yous are just going to be shouting out to those folks.
Yeah, I mean, our community is just like so small, so it's amazing that we have these volunteers. I know with a lot of places that are closed, they're still remaining active. I just was reading something about the USO and how they're making the anti-stress bags, and they partnered with the chapel to actually deliver these. So it's pretty awesome, and I haven't been on this base very long, but I'm proud of us.
Yeah, it's absolutely all over the world. There's a lot of people doing some good stuff, and including here in our community. And the first people I want to thank real quick, and nobody probably has any idea who these people are, but they're my restriction of movement team. When this whole thing started off back, I don't know, a few months ago, I said, man, I need to put together a team of people to get trained and to do this. And those folks, Chief Jessica Rodriguez, MA1 Thorne, OS2 Flanagan, MA2 Kitchens, they were our initial folks that just came forward and said, hey, I'll do this. And nobody's seen them. But when we get a restriction of movement case in, those guys would get these people, make sure they're wearing the proper PPE, and then this is only for on base UH, and they would take them and put them in our designated UH rooms. And then on top of those folks, we had Master Chief Cunningham and his team, the America team, I call them, because they're all USS America sailors that are here in TPD. They stepped up and put a team of folks together to feed all these folks. And so we have a pretty robust ROM program here in Sasebo. And they stepped up, and they were doing 3 meals a day for over 100 people at one point. Luckily, we're slowly but surely ramping down because of the travel bans and the restrictions. Our ROM list is starting to get low. And I hope to keep it like that so that people can get a break and actually do their normal work.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mention it, when I was actually staying at the Navy Lodge, I had just gotten here in March. So when ROM started to happen, I saw those sailors that I was with in the AOB, and they were delivering the food. So that was pretty awesome to kind of see them again and see them getting involved with the community. And there was something else. Oh, by the way, everybody, just so you know, when CMC was listing out all those names, that was just from the top of his head. There was no list. So thank you to all those people that he mentioned. You guys are doing great. Keep helping us out there. You guys are doing awesome.
All right, next thank you I want to shout out to is Lisa at the NEX and her team. Same thing, when this stuff went down, they came up with a program called the ROM Quarantine Program. And her team, led by Uchida-san, they delivered more than 300 personal orders to sailors in quarantine on the piers. The mini mart, man, they stepped up and they got a whole bunch of stuff to make sure the folks that were stuck on these ships, their ship stores were full. And NEX always does a great job for us here. And they just went above and beyond to do more and to do great things for our ships and support the fleet, which is really the reason we're here.
Yeah.
And next one is MC2 mentioned Red Cross and USO. So USO, those guys, they provided hundreds of snack bags to individuals in ROM at the UH. They also provided support to the ships whose crews were unable to leave the ship by providing drinks and snacks for their pier-side picnics that they're trying to do. They contacted me the other day and asked me if they could deliver pizza, and because we're trying to keep the ship's bubbles and make sure that they're COVID free so they can deploy if they need to, I had to go to the CTF 76 CMC and say hey man, can we do this? and he came back and approved it. So they're going to be delivering some pizza as well.
Everybody loves pizza.
Red Cross, from the very beginning, when we started this whole process, Red Cross came to me and said, "Hey, how can I help?" And they were like, just like my ROM team was like at the beginning, and putting people in the ROM. Red Cross stepped up, and they had toiletry bags. So if you don't, many people don't realize that that the folks that live out in town, you go to ROM, you got all your stuff there. These folks that came to UH, they might have just flown in. They don't even have a towel. They might have toothpaste and a toothbrush and maybe some soap, but I mean, not many people travel with that stuff. So Red Cross gave us some bags. They had soap, shampoo, conditioner for the ladies.
Gotta keep that hair soft, CMC.
Toothpaste, toothbrushes, and things like that. And then as MC2 mentioned a little bit ago, they also started doing some, what would you call it?
The anti-stress bags?
Anti-stress bags, yeah. I knew they were doing that as well. I just wasn't as quick as MC2 to get the information out there. Next on the list here, we got Fleet and Family Support Center. They're having to come up with unique ways and innovative ways to do counseling. We were starting everything over the phone. Now they're trying to come up with some other. We got a virtual AOB. I'm pretty sure it's launched out there. I had to tape my AOB ICR thing, and there's like 9 hours worth of video.
And you love being on camera, right, CMC?
I love being on camera. MC2 is lying through her teeth right here. I told them earlier, I said, don't stop taping anymore because you can see all my wrinkles and stuff like that. So over there at Fleet and Family, some specific names that I wanted to mention was Ashley Parks, Catherine Pierre, Eriko Kawahara, everybody knows her, Ryan Thomas, Kristen Birkland, and if I'm messing up your names, I apologize. I hope you're listening though. Norman Okada, and of course our favorite Phil Frazier. And next on the list here we got MWR. So everything is MWR is they're the heart and soul of this space when it comes to services and food and things of that nature. They have takeout and delivery. We've got some folks over at the MWR maintenance staff that are doing some facility maintenance and improvements during the time of closures. In the short time that we've been in this lockdown, I won't call it lockdown. I will say just minimal service stuff. They've painted the Fleet Fitness lobby. They finished painting and doing repairs in the weight room of the Fleet Fitness Center. They finished painting the lobby and hallways of the Hario Fitness Center. And they just started painting the lobby of both the Showboat and the Hario theaters. So I'm telling you, when we get to start lifting some of these restrictions, you go back to some of these facilities, you're going to notice a huge difference. And we can't leave out the Outdoor Adventure Center. So I don't know if you've ever driven into base and you'd seen some folks out there power washing in front of the USO. Those guys are out there. They were power washing around the Fleet Fitness Center, the Harbor View Club, Galaxies, the Fleet Landing. They're assisting as drivers for Galaxy's delivery service. So if you don't know that, some of the MWR employees, what they would normally be doing, now they just shifted gears and they're like, hey, we need you to do this. And so they went over and they started doing deliveries.
That is so awesome. I didn't know that. That's great.
And they're also the Outdoor Rec is also doing some repairs around their own facility. Let's see here. And then, of course, you can't forget my favorite place is the gym.
What's that? Oh,
so the staff of the Fleet Fitness Center, they've been cranking out some cleaning to make sure we've got a clean place to go to when we get back there. They're also doing some repairs to the equipment in both Fleet Fitness Centers, and they've begun preparing Basketball Court 3 to turn into a NOFS training zone. So NOFS is Navy Operational Fitness and Fueling. It's something the Navy worked with some colleges a long time ago to come out with, and we don't use it enough. I don't think it's.
I heard about it during the town hall meeting that they were talking about that, so that's pretty awesome.
Yep, and then let's see what else we got here. Yeah, that's it on those on MWR. But of course, I can't forget my security guys, man. Those guys are on the gate every day, wearing their masks and their gloves. You know, on the front lines. You know, they're coming in contact with so many people. Man, their contact log is going to be
insane.
That'd be kind of a pain in the butt. And we can't forget Port Ops. Port Ops is awesome folks that are keeping our boats going while we're all stuck in this situation. You know, when it comes down to it, it's always about the mission. And so supporting the fleet and making sure they're going good. And Port Ops has always done a great job at sorting those folks out. And then I talked about the ROM team in the very beginning. Well, they need rooms in order to house these sailors. And so the UH over there, under the leadership of Torsten Rutrock and Chief Romero, man, those guys prepared the, you know, we moved some sailors around, we moved some sailors out, so we could create enough ROM rooms to have should something bad go down. And let's see what else I got here. Oh, my eyes are failing me. And then thanks to the operational forces, man. You know, those guys, some of those folks are stuck on the ship. You know, I talked to my wife about this the other day. I was like, babe, if this happened to me, what would you do? And she's like, well, you got no choice. You know, you're in the Navy. This is what you have to do. Those guys are stuck on the ship over there, so they can be ready to deploy should something happen. And man, I got to tell you, it's probably pretty tough on them and their families. But when it comes down to it in the end, you know, we are here, we are military, and we got to be ready to deploy should something go down. And the final shout out and thank you that I want to say before we probably cut to a couple songs is to the community. Man, I got to tell you, this is tough times. If you look back in the United States, there's protests and all kinds of crazy stuff going on because this is not normal for us. But I would say that 99.9% of the community understands that, you know, in order to prevent the spread of this virus or even to get it at all on our base, we've got to do these measures. And 99.9% of the community have done what they need to do. They're wearing their masks. They're practicing their physical distancing. They're staying home and getting innovative and doing things they got to do to keep their kids and their families going during this time. And there will be a sight, and you know, it'll come to an end eventually. You know, I don't think that we're gonna just completely go back to normal life. I think this is going to be similar to, you know, we had 9/11, the terrorist attacks, and after 9/11, nothing was ever the same again. We have COVID. It's crazy. We'll probably not be the same again. You know, the typical handshake and hug we do. You know, when we're like, "What's up?" You know,
we're gonna be a little more cautious.
Yeah, we're gonna be wearing
hand
masks.
sanitizer a little more,
and we're gonna be using the Japanese bowing probably a lot more. And it'll eventually leave us, and a vaccine will come. But community and ships and everybody, just please bear with us. We're actually looking at ways that we're gonna that we will transition back out of this once we determine it's safe to do so.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I guess the silver lining in all of this is we're gonna come out safer, smarter. The base is gonna be prettier. It's going to be completely sanitized, and it's going to be like a reset button, almost. Absolutely. In a good way.
And if anybody in the community thinks that we have it bad right here, I would ask that you look at the Yokosuka community, the Atsugi community. I mean, they're on lockdown down there, folks, and man, it's not fun. So, you know, while we have a lot of restrictions in place to prevent this, we definitely we're not as bad off as them right now. I feel for those leaders down there that have to lead people through this.
Yeah, I have one of my friends. She's on one of the bases in South Korea, but she lives out in town. And she was showing that since people couldn't leave, people were giving these big packages and leaving them at people's doors just to help them, since nobody could leave their house. So at least we're lucky we can actually go to and from places if we need to.
So I'll just throw a quick shout out there for Dan in the CMC of Atsugi, and Derek, the CMC in Yokosuka. Thanks for what you're doing over there, guys.
Yes, thank you guys so much. All right, so before we get into all that COVID clarification, we're going to go cut to a couple songs. I know CMC likes some hip-hop, so I got some Biz Marquee, Just a Friend. Is that good?
Sure. Hit it up.
All right, here we go. Good morning, everybody. It's MC2 Cat Yanez, a.k.a. DJ SoCal. Again, we're here with the CMC. So let's go ahead and get into this COVID clarification, because I know a lot of people have had a lot of random questions, so hopefully we can clear some of that up with the CMC. So CMC, what do you want to cover first?
Yeah, and then I'd like to say that, if there's any other clarification you need, you can send me a message at rudy.johnson@fe.navy.mil. I have the captain's ear. I can go out and talk to him and we can figure it out, or I can just go back and look at one of his updates to figure out what we need to tell you. But something that's been happening a lot lately is people have been, we'll put out some guides and they'll come back and they'll be like, hey, what about this? What about this? And I just got to tell everybody, until we get through this, just hang tight. In the town hall he had the other day, that was a message he put out. He's like, we can't keep doing all these what ifs. We could what if this thing all day and all night. And the bottom line on everything is, you got to maintain the physical distancing. You got to wear the mask. And if you can't do either one of those while you're doing these exercises or things that he was talking about, then you shouldn't be doing it. And we want to minimize our contacts out in town. So this weekend, or let's see, the 25th, a new not public health order, but a new fragmentary order came out from USFJ, and it had some things in there, and so I'm going to clarify a few of those things. The previous week or the week before, we talked about everybody keeping a contact log, and we were recommending this. Well, the new fragmentary order comes out and says you're required to keep a daily log, and this is really so that we can do contact tracing. I was telling MC2 earlier, she's on my log now.
Oh no!
Because we're in the studio here together for more than 10 minutes. And so I'll just give you some clarifications on that. So daily logs are required to be kept by active duty and reserve personnel. We highly encourage. We really would like other folks to do it as well, because when somebody gets COVID, to be able to trace who they may have come in contact with really helps us to prevent the spread. Some specific things on these logs are, contact is defined as being within 6 feet with anyone for about 10 minutes or more. There was a couple things in the fragmentary order that came out that talked about that you need to add to your logs, and that's if you're in a healthcare, if you're in a waiting area in medical. So if you're sitting in medical with a bunch of people, I know it's going to be weird, and you'll be like, hey, can I get your name? And they're gonna be like, why you want my name? It's so you can put it on your contact log. If somebody coughs on you, I know that you were like, God, why would I do? I don't want to embarrass myself and talk to somebody, but you need to do those things. So 6 feet with anyone for 10 or more minutes. That includes if you're riding in a car with somebody, then it's likely you're going to be in there with them for more than 10 minutes, so you're going to have to put that person on your contact log. We're probably going to send something out later today that has some things there that help meet the intent of the fragmentary order. Cloth face coverings need to be worn all the time when you cannot maintain 6 feet of distance with somebody, or if you're going into one of those areas that requires you to have a face cloth on. And so there's some exceptions. There's some people, the captain said that when people run, they don't have to wear their face cloth. I had this happen the other day. Somebody asked me, he's like, hey, I was told to put my face cloth on when I was running. Well, when I dug into it, I determined that there was 2 people running right next to each other. And so it comes down to one of those common sense things that if you're by yourself and you're not going to affect anybody around you, or you're not going to take in somebody else's breathing or coughing or the air that's coming around them, then you're going to be okay.
No need for a mask. Yeah.
My security guys, when you come through the gate, they're going to ask you to pull down your mask so they can verify your identity. You know, people don't even recognize me walking around the base with my mask on. It's kind of nice sometimes, actually. But no, I'm just kidding.
Getting too famous, CMC?
Yeah, whatever, MC2. Goodness gracious. MC2 is crazy over there. But make sure you're wearing those cloth face coverings when you cannot maintain 6 feet of distance with folks, or when you're going into some of those places that require them. You know, the best rule of thumb is just to wear it all the time. Almost the only time I take mine off is when I'm in my office by myself and nobody's around. As soon as somebody walks up to my door, I put my mask on and we start chatting or whatever. Another quick thing, so you know, many people are confused about if all this stuff applies to contractors and civilians and MLCs. Well, not too long ago, or last week sometime, there was a USFJ put out a public health emergency for all of Japan. What this basically did is gave the captain of the base the authority to do anything, to do many other things in his power to make sure the base is safe, and that we're making sure that we don't get COVID on here, and that no sailor gets COVID. So all these things that are coming out now, right after that public health order came out, he has the authority to do these things, folks. And he's not, he's a very, very good man. And he is not, believe me, he does not want to try and do anything that's just going to upset a bunch of people. But our main goal here, his main goal, is to prevent COVID from getting on the space and from one sailor getting COVID. And so, you know, we're being a little tough on a bunch of things. And some people have felt the effects of that, but it's all to try and make sure that we maintain that mission of no sailor getting COVID.
Yeah, he's keeping us safe, and we appreciate it. So I'm thankful.
And then there's another thing. So we've gotten some ice comments lately, and they're like, look at Sasebo. Sasebo's, you know, they're doing they're just normal out there, and we're going crazy on base. Well, Prime Minister Abe last week also declared a state of emergency. And for those of you who are like critiquing me on the radio, like, it wasn't last week, it was 2 weeks ago. It was previous to this radio show. He did declare a state of emergency for all of Japan, urging residents to avoid non-essential gatherings. And so you might start to see some of the businesses close. And we're lucky here in Sasebo because, I mean, we're all kind of doing the things we need to do ahead of time, so that if this thing does get here, it's not going to spread like wildfire. You know, it's still going. You know, the numbers are still going up in Tokyo. I got to say, thank God that we're not. You know, that travel is kind of stopped, and we're not bringing more people into here. Let's see here. Reminder: if you're sick, stay home. Okay, call your supervisor, call the preventative medicine folks, and get an evaluation. Because we don't want to spread, you know, this is something that, you know, in 20 some odd years in the Navy, I always went to work when I was sick.
Me too.
Just because it's what we do, and now is not the time to do that, everybody. So please make sure that you're staying home.
Better be safe than sorry, right?
Yep. So the other thing I've gotten some nice comments on is about road tax, and you know, and we're looking for a way forward on the road tax, really for the ships and the local community. But it's really easy to go pay your road tax. You know, I went out there, you know, in the beginning. I anticipated that this might happen, and so I went out there in the beginning of like just the end of March, and I mean, it took me 5 minutes. I walked in, paid my 7,500 yen, drove back to the base. Another 5 minutes, and I had my sticker on, and I was done for the year. It's not that difficult, folks, but we are looking towards June to maybe try and do something like that if things change. We got to work with the local government.
So does that mean like
stuff.
the road tax due date will get pushed from that May 31st that we've been seeing?
Yes. So essentially, we're not enforcing those type of things right now because it's common sense.
Course,
we know that most people are not going to be able to get this done. Now, if you have the ability to get it done, and you don't get it done, and you're driving around the base, you know, my guys might stop you. But really, I told the ships, you know, the ships are stuck on the ships. their car is in the parking lot. They're not able to get out and go do that. So it really mostly applies for folks like that.
Yeah, I know those people were worried, but from the town hall, they were saying that if your car is not actually being used, there's no reason for you to get pulled over for not paying road tax. But again, if you have like a spouse or family member that is actually using the vehicle, they can pay that road tax for them, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it really is easy. Something else that's come up recently because of this is leave accumulation. So, this has happened to me a lot over the years, just because I'm kind of dumb and I work too much and I don't take my leave. But leave accumulation now because of COVID is up to 120 by 60 days, and it can be used all the way through 30 September of 2023. And so for those of you who don't have an opportunity to take leave, don't worry about it. We'll do, your admins will do a letter, and you'll get that leave will carry over to the next year, and it'll be good all the way up until 2023.
Nice. That's good news for us.
Yeah. How much leave do you have on the books? MC2?
Let's not talk about that, CMC.
Let's not talk about that. Yeah. I'll just say I have 60 on the books right now. Let's see here. The Navy just stopped. We just stopped movement again. The stop movement is in place until 30 June of 2020, and it applies to all PCS, TAD for military, civilians, and their family members. Let's see here. Yeah, and so if you're in the midst of transferring, there's a stop movement on there. There's a couple of stipulations in the order that I didn't read it thoroughly enough to be able to talk about it and tell you should do this, but you should go look at it. npc.navy.mil got the information. Go take a look at it to see if your specific situation. I know that we have not stopped accessions and the folks coming from boot camp flowing into the fleet. But if somebody is TAD somewhere, I'm pretty sure they're going to have to stop and stay there until the stop movement, goes away and they can start moving again.
Yeah, June seems like it's far. It's kind of weird. Like these dates keep coming out and they keeps getting pushed month by month. But for some reason, it doesn't seem as long as I feel like. So like I feel like yesterday it was just March. So and now we're at the end of April.
It's crazy. So, the time is flying over here. And if you've been outside a little bit or looked outside, you'll notice that the weather's starting to get nice.
It is.
It's starting to get warm, and I think I saw that it's going to be 70 something this week, which I'm super excited about.
Nice. There's going to be sun for sure, so that's going to be nice. It's not going to be cloudy.
My house is freezing right now.
Mine too.
It's like there's a draft running through the door. It's just like AC.
We've got to appreciate it until it becomes that like sticky hot summer here that I hear so much about. So. And
then I got one last thing on here just to say real quick before we end up cutting out of here. But last month I talked about a couple of people who got in trouble and we got rid of them. We barred them from the base, or we sent them back to the United States. Realize everybody, we didn't just take somebody who was doing something that was normal and got rid of them. One person was in a bar, violating his ROM, and that was something serious enough that we thought we should get rid of somebody. Another person was in a bar, so they weren't going and getting groceries. They weren't doing the minimal things that they're allowed to do right now while we're in this situation. They were going way high into the right and just completely blowing it off and putting themselves in a situation where anybody in that bar, could have had COVID. They pass it to them, and that becomes our vector, and people on base just start getting COVID, and we don't need that type of stuff. So.
No, Captain's not playing any games, guys.
Nope, he's not playing any games.
So to wrap it up, got any last minute? Oh, by the ways.
Nope, I think I'm good, MC2. I told you these things scare me every time I come over.
He's backing away from the microphone, guys.
Yeah, I'm backing away from the microphone slowly.
All right, so my bad, CMC. I said hip hop earlier, but now I got some R&B for you. Is that good?
Yeah, appreciate that.
All right, we got Seniorita by Shawn Mendes and Kameena Kibeho coming up.